Now here's an example where we're going to be cutting between the corner wall by the door and this power box. So here's just an example of what it's like. The tape is there, so you feel free to go along the tape. You know you're then getting as far as you can in order to paint the edge. You don't go beyond the tape, however, because then you'd get paint on the object you don't want to get paint on. Likewise, you want to get where the roller can't go, so you don't want the roller to go right up to the edge there. So therefore, you paint this, and when the tape comes off, it'll be smooth and perfect. So it'll be easier for the tape to come off when the tape has been used and painted on. When it's ready to come off, and it'll be easier for the roller to get around this the best you can. Now you have to judge if you think the roller is capable of getting in places that might be too narrow for it. For instance, can the roller get in here? I don't think so. So this whole section from here to here will have to be painted. As well, we're doing the trim, so the roller cannot do the trim. So that means, essentially, the roller can get in this section here, underneath the power box, but it can't get right next to the trim, and it can't get on the trim. So here is fine, but then here it's not. It's too narrow for the roller, if you imagine what the size of the roller is. So in instances like those, that's where you have to make a judgment call. Therefore, this little area here is going to be painted with the brush, besides the trim itself. I'm not doing the trim yet, I'm just making sure I get the wall here. And that's what cutting is basically about, so far as I've ascertained, is making sure that you cut the places where the roller can't go. Now sometimes the paint may go on smoothly, sometimes you may have to do a few up and down movements or whatever, up and down and sideways, until you're sure that the paint has fully and successfully covered the wall. Okay, now this has been done there, and it's been done there, but it hasn't been done, well, it's been done here a little bit, and it hasn't been done there, so that's what we have to do. We're looking for all the places to cut that it seems necessary to do so. Again, you want to have a drop cloth underneath you most of the time, so I can just scoot these little towels a little closer just in case. Now we're getting the top done here. Again, being careful not to get on the object itself that you don't want to paint. Okay, and then you also want to observe your work just to make sure that it's fine enough. Of course, you need good lighting to detect and tell how things are for the most part. If you don't have good lighting, it's a little more difficult. I'm at a little loss here because I don't have the specifically good lighting that I ought to have. Okay, but for the most part this has been done now above the power box, to the left of it, below it, and in between the wall and the corner and the door. So now as far as drips go, here's an example of a drip forming right there. And if you don't see it, we'll bring it a little closer for you. There's a drip. So you want to take care of those if you can. Make sure you don't have a lot of paint on your brush, and then you can easily take care of that. So again, we're going to paint right up and down this corner here where the brush would, where the roller would have a hard time going. And that's done now. And we want to do it up there as well, but that is going to require a little bit more height. And since I'm short, I will need a ladder. Therefore, here's a handy step ladder. And you can rest your paint can on this tray that the ladders have. There we go. Now we're at a good enough height to continue. And again, we see we're up here at the ceiling where the tape is, and we're cutting the ceiling. We're also cutting any edges that need to be cut. Everything is being done at this stage in preparation for the use of the roller. Where the roller cannot go, the paintbrush will, or can. So you just have to merely figure out each time you do your painting whether or not the roller has the capacity to go there. And if it doesn't, then you use the paintbrush to make sure that the roller doesn't have to go there, and the paintbrush will. So you take a corner, and you do both sides of the corner. So we started down there on the floor, but we're up here at the ceiling. That's kind of how it goes. And you kind of want to do one section at a time. You can try to do everything lower, everything upper, or everything in between, but chances are, if you do one section at a time, you'll know you've done one section before you go on to another. So here we are. This is basically a section here, and that's what we're doing. And we're not going to be painting the ceiling, so that's why we're painting the wall. Yet we are painting the ceiling. However, it is covered by tape, and that protects the ceiling from being painted. Unless, of course, you go beyond the tape and you paint the ceiling, not wishing to. Again, the roller will have an easier job going up to this point here instead of all the way up there. If the roller went all the way up here, you would get the ceiling. And it might go beyond the tape as well. Okay, there's a little bit of insight on the rudimentary basics of painting a bachelor suite at this time. We'll continue more when there's something to say.